The knock came soft, not the confident kind, not the impatient pounding of somebody who thinks they belong. This one sounded hesitant, like whoever stood on the other side wasn't sure they deserved to be there. I almost ignored it. It was barely 8 in the morning, the sun still low and pale through the kitchen blinds. I had coffee brewing, gospel playing low on my phone, trying to build some kind of peace into a day that already felt heavy. Divorce papers still sat on the counter where I had left them the night before, edges curling like even they were tired. Then the knock came again. 3 small taps. My chest tightened for no reason I could explain. Ever since Marcus left, every unexpected sound felt like bad news wearing shoes. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and walked toward the door slowly, peeking through the side window first. And that's when my stomach dropped straight through the floor. Her. Even after all those months, I knew her face. You don't forget the face of the woman your husband cheated with. It was burned into me from late nights scrolling through old tagged photos and mutual friends pages, from the one blurry selfie somebody sent me like gossip, from the mental movie my mind played every time he came home late from work. She used to look confident in those pictures. Glossy hair, tight dresses, hand on her hip like the world owed her something. But the woman standing on my porch? This wasn't her. Her hoodie hung off her shoulders like she'd lost weight too fast, hair pulled back messy, eyes swollen, cheeks hollow. She looked like life had chewed her up and spit her out. For a second, I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe grief was making me see ghosts. Then she lifted her head and our eyes locked. Recognition hit both of us at the same time. My hand tightened around the doorknob. Every instinct in me screamed, slam it hard enough to shake the frame, let her feel even half the humiliation I felt when I found those messages. I pictured myself yelling, "You got the wrong house," and watching her crumble. But my body didn't move, because she didn't look smug. She didn't look victorious. She looked destroyed. When I opened the door halfway, she didn't even try to smile. Her lips trembled. "You're Danielle, right?" she whispered. My name sounded fragile coming out of her mouth. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. She swallowed like the words hurt to push out. I didn't know where else to go." I almost laughed. The audacity. Out of all the doors in this city, she picked mine? "You got nerve," I said. "I know," she said quickly, tears already sliding down her cheeks. "I know I do. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't desperate." Something in that word hit me. Desperate. That wasn't the language of a woman who thought she won. That was the language of somebody drowning. She hugged herself tight like she was cold, even though the air was warm. "He left," she said. I stared at her. "Good," I replied flatly. "No," she shook her head fast. "Not like that. He didn't just leave. He disappeared, blocked me, took everything, my money, my savings. He said we were building something together and—" Her voice broke clean in half. I felt my heart start pounding, but not for the reason I expected. Because every sentence she said sounded familiar. Too familiar. Like hearing your own story in somebody else's voice. "He told me to co-sign loans, said it was for our future. I trusted him. Now the bank's calling every day. I'm behind on rent. My account's empty." My fingers went numb on the doorframe. That wasn't romance. That was strategy. A pattern. She looked up at me like I was the last lifeline on earth. "You came... I didn't come to fight you. I swear. I think he lied to both of us." Silence stretched between us. This was supposed to be the woman I hated, the villain in my story, the one I blamed for my marriage breaking apart. But standing there, shaking and small, she didn't look like my enemy. She looked like another casualty. And for the first time since everything fell apart, a thought crept in that scared me more than anger ever did. What if she wasn't the other woman? What if she was just the next victim? I stepped back without realizing I had made the decision. "Come in," I heard myself say. The second the words left my mouth, I knew this wasn't going to be a simple conversation, because if what she was saying was true, then the man I married hadn't just betrayed me. He'd been running the same game on both of us, and that meant the story I thought I understood was about to get a whole lot uglier. The door clicked shut behind her, and the sound echoed louder than it should have, like I'd just locked myself into something I couldn't undo. For a second, we just stood there in my living room, staring at each other like two strangers who accidentally boarded the same lifeboat. I kept my distance, didn't offer a hug, didn't offer comfort. I wasn't that healed. "Sit," I said, nodding toward the couch. She perched on the very edge like she didn't trust the furniture to hold her, hands twisting together, knuckles pale. Her leg bounced so fast it rattled the coffee table. Up close, I could see the damage clearer. Mascara stains under her eyes, lips cracked, nails chewed down. Not the polished, confident woman I'd built up in my nightmares. She looked like me 3 months ago, back when I wasn't sleeping, back when my stomach stayed in knots, back when every bill notification felt like a threat. I stayed standing, crossed my arms. "What's your name?" I asked. "Tasha," she said quietly. Of course she had a name. It felt strange realizing that, like villains in stories aren't supposed to have names or soft voices. They're supposed to be easier to hate. "Tasha," I repeated, testing it. My throat tightened. This wasn't supposed to be human. "So," I said, sharper than necessary, "start talking, and don't lie to me. I've had enough lies to last a lifetime." She nodded fast. "I met Marcus last year," she said. Hearing my husband's name come out of her mouth made my stomach flip. "Not my husband anymore," I corrected myself, but still. "He told me he was separated, said the divorce was basically done, said you two were just roommates for the kids." I laughed out loud, a bitter, ugly sound. "We don't even have kids," I said. Her head snapped up. "What?" "No kids, no separation. We were very much married." The color drained from her face. "He showed me papers," she whispered. "He said they were divorce filings." Of course he did. Marcus always loved paperwork as props, fake emails, fake screenshots, half-truths dressed up like facts. He didn't just lie, he curated. "He told me you didn't love him anymore, said you were cold, controlling, that you made him feel small." There it was, the script, because he told me something too, that she was clingy, desperate, obsessed with him. He'd made her sound pathetic, made me sound cruel, split us clean down the middle so neither of us would ever compare notes. Divide and conquer, classic Marcus. "What else did he tell you?" I asked quietly. She took a shaky breath. "That he wanted to start fresh, new place, new life. He said if we combined our money, we could get a house faster. He said couples build together." My chest tightened, because that sentence, he almost said the same thing to me 5 years ago. "We're a team, Danielle. What's yours is ours." I thought it meant partnership. Turns out it meant access. "I co-signed a loan for him, $30,000. He said it was for a business opportunity." My eyes widened. "Did you see the business?" She shook her head slowly. "No, of course not. He stopped paying after 2 months. Then last week, my bank account got cleaned out, joint account, every dollar gone, his number disconnected, job gone, apartment lease canceled." She looked up at me, eyes red and wild. "He disappeared like I never existed." Silence wrapped around us heavy and thick. I remembered the day Marcus left our house, how calm he was, how normal, kissed my forehead like it was just another Tuesday, then never came back. By the time I checked our savings, half of it was gone. He didn't storm out. He extracted himself, clean, efficient, like a thief who knew the layout of the house, because he did. My hand started shaking, but not from sadness, from clarity. This wasn't messy infidelity. This wasn't falling in love with someone else. This was calculation. He wasn't choosing women. He was selecting targets. Women who worked hard, women who saved, women who believed in building something together. Women like us. Tasha wiped her nose with her sleeve, embarrassed. I know you probably hate me, and you should, I would, but when everything crashed, I realized something. She looked straight at me. He told us the same stories. My heart pounded, because she was right. Every insult he used on me, he used on her. Every promise he made to her, he once made to me. We weren't rivals, we were chapters, different seasons of the same scam. And suddenly, all that anger I'd aimed at her felt misplaced, like throwing rocks at another person trapped in the same burning house. I sank slowly into the chair across from her. For the first time, we weren't wife and mistress. We were just two women sitting in the wreckage of the same man. And the more we talked, the more I realized something terrifying. If we put our stories together, we might finally see the full picture. And that picture wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. Once the word fraud settled in my head, everything changed shape. Betrayal hurts, infidelity breaks your heart. But fraud? Fraud means you were studied, selected, used. That kind of realization doesn't just sting. It makes you question your own instincts, your own judgment, your own memories. I stared at Tasha across the living room like I was looking into some alternate version of myself. Same exhaustion, same embarrassment, same quiet shame neither of us deserved. The only difference was timing. She was where I had been 3 months ago, and I was just far enough removed to finally see clearly. "Tell me everything," I said. She hesitated. "Everything?" "Every date, every dollar, every promise. Don't protect him, don't protect yourself, just the truth." My voice surprised me. It wasn't emotional anymore. It was sharp, focused, like something inside me had switched from grieving wife to investigator. She nodded and pulled out her phone with trembling hands. Her screen was cracked, corner-chipped. I noticed weird details like that when I was stressed. Proof life had been rough lately. She scrolled through messages. "Here," she said, turning it toward me. Text after text. Marcus talking sweet, calling her baby, future wife, my peace. I swallowed. He used to call me that too, my peace. Funny how a man who destroys everything calls himself peace. "He said he hated fighting with you," she whispered. "Said you didn't believe in him. Said I was the only one who saw his potential." I almost rolled my eyes. Same script, different actress. "I told you were unstable," I said. "Said you were obsessed, that you kept trying to trap him with money." Her mouth fell open. "I never asked him for money. He's the one who pushed the joint account." We stared at each other. And then, unexpectedly, we both laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was ridiculous. The same lies, word for word, like he copy-pasted us. "He must think we're stupid," she said quietly. "No," I replied. "He thinks we're trusting. There's a difference. Trusting people assume love means honesty. Manipulators assume trust means opportunity." I grabbed my laptop and sat beside her on the couch. "Let's build a timeline," I said. She blinked. "A what?" "A timeline. Dates. When you met him, when he asked for money, when he disappeared." She watched me open a spreadsheet like I'd just pulled out a weapon. And maybe I had. because Marcus thrived on confusion, half-truths, overlapping stories, memory gaps. But paper? Paper doesn't lie. Okay, she said slowly. I met him in March. My fingers froze over the keyboard. March? I repeated. Yeah, March 3rd. I remember because it was my birthday weekend. My stomach twisted. March 3rd was our anniversary. He took me to dinner that night, brought flowers, smiled like nothing was wrong, then met her later. My chest burned, but I kept typing. Okay, keep going. First date, he said he was lonely. Second week, he told you two were basically over. By May, he was talking about moving in together. May. That's when he started working late constantly. June, she co-signed the loan. July, he opened their joint account. August, he drained ours. September, he ghosted her. October, he disappeared from me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The pattern was too clean, too organized. He didn't stumble into another relationship. He overlapped them on purpose, staggered the money, extracted from one while grooming the next, like rotating credit cards, like we were accounts, not people. Oh my God, Tasha whispered. What? He used the same pet name for both of us. I looked at her. What was it? She swallowed. Queen. My throat tightened. He used to text me every morning. Good morning, Queen. My stomach flipped. Not special, not intimate, just recycled. I felt anger rising, not even at him, not even fully at me, at myself, for all the nights I thought she stole something from me, when really, he was stealing from both of us the whole time. You know what's crazy? She said softly. What? I thought you ruined my life. I looked at her. I thought you ruined mine. Silence filled the room. Then she laughed a little through her tears. He really played us. Yeah, I said quietly. He did. And for the first time since she knocked on my door, I didn't see her as the woman my husband chose over me. I saw her as another woman he calculated around, another woman he lied to with the same mouth, another woman he left holding the bill. We weren't enemies, we were evidence. And as the timeline stretched longer across my laptop screen, a heavy realization settled into my chest. This wasn't just messy heartbreak, this was a pattern, and if he did it to both of us, how many others were out there we didn't even know about yet? I stared at the dates glowing on my screen, because suddenly, this wasn't about closure. It was about something bigger, something legal, something that might finally hold him accountable. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel helpless. I felt dangerous. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was crying, not because I was heartbroken, but because my brain wouldn't slow down. It felt like somebody had flipped all the lights on in a dark house I'd been stumbling through for years. Every memory looked different now. Every romantic moment had a shadow behind it. Tasha had left around sunset, not dramatically, not awkward, just quiet. We stood at the door like two soldiers after comparing scars. Thank you for not slamming the door, she said softly. I almost did, I told her. She nodded. I wouldn't have blamed you, but I didn't, and now I understood why, because something about her pain felt familiar in my bones. After she left, I sat back down at my dining table with the laptop still open. The spreadsheet glowed against the dark room like evidence on an interrogation table. Dates, transfers, amounts, excuses, side by side. His lies didn't look clever anymore. They looked repetitive, lazy even. The same phrases copied and pasted into two different lives. I scrolled slowly. March, love bombing her. April, telling me I was emotionally distant. May, pushing her to co-sign. June, asking me to temporarily cover more bills. July, joint account with her. August, draining mine. It wasn't chaos, it was choreography. My chest tightened because I finally saw it for what it was. He didn't cheat because he fell out of love. He cheated because he needed supply, money, housing, stability, ego. Women weren't partners to him. We were resources. I leaned back in my chair and covered my face with my hands. God, I whispered to myself, how did I not see it? But that's the thing about manipulators. They don't show you the full picture. They keep you exhausted, confused, second-guessing yourself. You're too busy surviving to analyze. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from Tasha. Unknown number. Thank you again. I'm sorry for everything, even the stuff I didn't know I was part of. I stared at it for a long time, then typed back. You didn't do this. He did. 3 dots popped up, then disappeared, then popped back. Unknown number. Do you think he's done this before us? I didn't answer right away, because the truth, I already knew. Men like Marcus don't start with 2 women. They practice, they refine, they perfect the script. We probably weren't the first. We were just the ones who overlapped long enough to compare notes. And that overlap, that was his mistake. I finally replied, yes, and we're probably not the last unless somebody stops him. The second I hit send, something inside me locked into place. Stopped him. Not expose, not embarrass, stop. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about prevention. How many women were out there right now believing his fresh start speech? How many were opening joint accounts tonight? How many were defending him to their friends the way I used to? My stomach turned because I remembered defending him. He's just stressed. He's figuring things out. He's not like that. I practically marketed him. God, the shame hit hard. But then something else followed. Anger. Not loud, screaming anger. Cold anger, the kind that makes you organized, the kind that makes you print documents and label folders, the kind that doesn't cry, it calculates. I opened a new tab and searched financial fraud, marriage, joint accounts, legal options. Then identity misuse, spouse, debt, liability. Then civil court, evidence, requirements. The more I read, the clearer it became. This wasn't just emotional damage. There were crimes here. Loans under false pretenses, shared accounts drained intentionally, manipulation for financial gain. He didn't just break hearts, he broke laws. I printed everything, highlighted sections, started a binder. Old Danielle would have crawled into bed and cried herself sick. This Danielle was building a case. Around 2 a.m., I walked into the bedroom and stared at the empty side of the bed. For months, that space felt lonely. Tonight, it felt peaceful, like space reclaimed. I slid under the covers and stared at the ceiling, and for the first time since my marriage fell apart, I wasn't replaying memories wondering what I did wrong. I was replaying facts, patterns, proof, and somewhere between exhaustion and clarity, one terrifying thought settled into my chest. If he did this to 2 of us at the same time, what if there were 3 or 4 or more women out there right now who didn't even know they were sharing the same nightmare? My phone buzzed again. Another text from Tasha. Unknown number. There's something I forgot to tell you. Something important. My heart thumped. Me. What? 3 dots. Then, unknown number. I think there's another woman. stomach dropped because suddenly our timeline wasn't complete, not even close. I think there's another woman. I must have read that message 10 times, each time hoping the words would rearrange themselves into something less ugly. But they didn't. They just sat there on my screen, glowing back at me like a warning. Another. My chest tightened so fast it felt like somebody had wrapped wire around my ribs. For a second, I almost laughed, because how many women does one man need to destroy before he gets tired? Apparently, there was no limit. I called her instead of texting back. She picked up on the first ring. "Hey," she said, voice small, like she regretted saying it already. "What do you mean, another woman?" I asked. No greeting, no softness, straight to it. "I didn't want to say anything earlier," she said. "I didn't want you to think I was being messy or dramatic, but now that we put the timeline together..." She trailed off. "Just say it," I said. She exhaled. "Sometimes he'd disappear on me, same way he disappeared on you. Whole weekends, said he was visiting family or handling business stuff, but once I saw a text pop up on his phone." My stomach flipped. What did it say? "Miss you already. Drive safe, babe," with a heart. My hand tightened around the phone. When was that? August. August. The same month he drained my savings. The same month he was supposedly working doubles. "So while he was taking money from me," I said slowly, "and building a life with you, he was probably starting with someone else," she finished. Silence. Heavy. Disgusting. It felt like we were uncovering layers of something rotten, like peeling back drywall and finding mold behind it. "How sure are you?" I asked. "Pretty sure," she whispered. "He changed his password right after, started keeping his phone face down." Classic. That man guarded his phone like it was national security. I used to think it was just privacy. Now I realized it was inventory control. I hung up and sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. Another woman. Somewhere out there, probably right now, smiling to his texts, believing his promises, defending him to her friends the way I once did. She didn't know yet. Didn't know she was next. That thought made me sick. Because heartbreak is one thing, but financial ruin, that follows you for years. Bad credit, collections, evictions, stress that eats your sleep alive. He wasn't just breaking hearts, he was sabotaging futures. I walked back into the living room and opened the laptop again, started a new column on the spreadsheet. Possible third party. If he had time blocks where neither of us saw him, there had to be overlap. I scrolled through old bank statements, started matching dates, and that's when I noticed something strange. 3 large cash withdrawals, same weekend, different months. Too big to be groceries, too random to be bills. $500, $700, $900, all on weekends he claimed he was out of town for work. My pulse started racing. Cash, untraceable, perfect for impressing someone new. Hotels, dinners, trips, or rent deposits? My stomach twisted. He wasn't just juggling us emotionally, he was funding new relationships with money siphoned from old ones, like a pyramid scheme made of women, each one unknowingly financing the next. I whispered out loud, "You are evil." Not dramatic evil, not movie villain evil, calculated evil, the kind that smiles while stealing your life savings. I grabbed my old phone from the drawer, the one I stopped using after the divorce, and powered it on. If there was another woman, maybe there were signs I missed. Old calls, unknown numbers, late-night texts. The screen flickered to life slowly, battery at 9%. I plugged it in and started scrolling. Old messages from Marcus. I forced myself to read them without emotion, like evidence, not memories. And then I saw something that made my heart stutter. A contact saved as Derek, plumber. I didn't know any Derek, but there were dozens of calls, late night, early morning, short, suspiciously short. My hands went cold. Nobody talks to a plumber at midnight. I opened the thread, empty, deleted, but the call logs were still there, and something about it felt staged, like a fake label, like he didn't even try hard, just enough to fool someone who trusted him, which I did. God, I did. I stared at the number for a long time. My thumb hovered. Call or don't call? If it was nothing, I'd feel crazy. If it was something, everything would change. My heart thumped louder because suddenly this wasn't just about me and Tasha anymore. There might be another woman out there who didn't even know she was about to lose everything. And if I stayed silent, I'd be doing exactly what he counted on. I pressed the call button, held the phone to my ear. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a woman's voice answered, soft, sleepy. Hello? My breath caught, because deep down, I already knew. This wasn't Derek. This was her. Hello? Her voice was soft, sleep-heavy, confused. Not the voice of a plumber, not the voice of a business contact. A woman. My heart started pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. For a second, I almost hung up because what was I about to do? Call some random woman at almost midnight and tell her the man she trusted was a professional liar? That sounds crazy when you say it out loud. But then I remembered how it felt when nobody warned me, how blindsided I was, how alone, and I swallowed my fear. Hi, I said carefully. I'm sorry to call so late. I think we might need to talk about someone we both know. Silence. Then cautious. Who is this? My name is Danielle, I said. Do you know a man named Marcus Hill? Dead quiet. Not confusion, recognition. You can hear it when somebody freezes on the other end of the line. Yeah, she said slowly. That's my boyfriend. Why? Boyfriend. The word hit me like a brick. Not ex, not dating, not talking. Boyfriend. Present tense. Active. My stomach dropped. He told me he doesn't even like labels, she added, a little laugh in her voice. Says he's been hurt before. I closed my eyes. Same lines, same script, same performance. Listen, I said gently, forcing my voice not to shake. I'm not calling to cause drama, I promise, but I was married to him. Silence. Longer this time. Then she laughed. Not mean, just disbelief. What? I was his wife, I repeated, until recently, and there's another woman too. He was with both of us at the same time. No, she said quickly, too quickly. That's not possible. He told me he's been single for over a year. There it is, the denial stage. I knew it well, because that used to be me defending him to my friends. You don't know him like I do, I'd say. God, I sounded just like her. I didn't believe it either, I said softly, not until I saw the proof. She went quiet again. I could hear her breathing, fast, uneven. Can you tell me something? I asked. Has he ever asked you for money, or talked about building a future together? A pause. Yeah, she whispered. My chest tightened. He said we should open an account together, said couples invest in each other. I haven't yet. I told him I needed time. Thank God, she hesitated. Don't, I said quickly. Please don't. My voice cracked, because suddenly this wasn't theory anymore. This was prevention. If I could stop even one woman from going through what I did, maybe some of this pain meant something. He disappeared on you sometimes, didn't he? I asked. Yeah. Blamed work? Yeah. Phone face down, passwords changed. How do you know that? Because we lived the same life, I thought. He runs the same pattern. He overlaps relationships. He uses one woman's money to fund the next. He drains accounts, then vanishes. I heard her swallow hard. "You're lying," she said weakly, but there wasn't confidence behind it, just fear. "I wish I was," I replied. Silence stretched between us. Then quietly, "Do you have proof?" There it was. Not anger, not insults, just the question every smart woman asks when hope starts dying. Proof. "Yes," I said. "Bank statements, messages, timeline, and another woman who went through the same thing." Her breathing hitched. "I thought I was special," she whispered. That sentence broke something in me, because I remembered thinking that too, like love meant we were chosen. Turns out we were just convenient. "What's your name?" I asked gently. "Renee." Of course she had a name too. Another human being he reduced to a stepping stone. "Renee," I said, "I'm not asking you to believe me tonight. I just want you to protect yourself. Don't give him access to anything. Not your money, not your credit, nothing." She didn't answer right away. Then finally, "Can we talk tomorrow? Like, really talk?" "Yes," I said immediately. "Okay," she whispered. Before hanging up, she asked one more thing. "Was he ever sweet with you too?" I let out a soft, broken laugh. Too sweet, that's how they get you. When the call ended, I just sat there staring at the dark screen. 3 women. 3. All believing they were the only one. All being fed the same future. All seconds away from financial ruin. My chest filled with something new. Not sadness, not jealousy, not even heartbreak. Rage. Cold, focused rage. Because this wasn't messy love. This was a system. And systems don't stop unless somebody breaks them. I picked up my phone and texted Tasha. "Me. There's another one. Her name is Renee." 3 dots popped up instantly. Tasha. "Oh my God." Me. "He's still doing it." She replied. "Then we stop him." I stared at that message, and for the first time since this nightmare started, I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I felt like a witness, and witnesses, we come with evidence. Because if Marcus thought we were going to stay quiet and fight each other while he kept hunting, he had seriously underestimated the wrong women. And tomorrow the 3 of us were finally going to compare notes, and I had a feeling what we uncovered was going to be bigger than any of us were ready for. The next morning felt like the first day of something I didn't have a name for yet. Not revenge, not justice. Something quieter, like truth stretching its arms after being cramped too long. I woke up before my alarm, sunlight barely touching the curtains, heart already racing like I had somewhere important to be. For months, mornings had felt heavy, grief sitting on my chest before my feet even touched the floor. But this morning, I felt alert, sharp, purposeful, like my pain finally had direction. I made coffee and cleared off the dining table, the same table where divorce papers used to sit like a death sentence. Now it looked different, clean, ready. My laptop open, notebook out, pens lined up. It looked less like a kitchen table and more like a command center. I texted both of them. Me. "Come by around 10. We'll go through everything together." Tasha replied first. "I'll be there." Renee took longer. Finally, "Okay, I'm nervous, but okay." That word nervous hit me deep, because walking into this situation meant her illusion was about to shatter. Nobody prepares you for that moment, when love turns into evidence, when memories turn into lies, when the man you defended becomes the man you have to protect yourself from. By 9:45, my house smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. I don't know why I cleaned so much. Maybe it was control. Maybe it was nerves. Maybe I just needed the space to feel safe. The knock came right at 10. Tasha. Same oversized hoodie, same tired eyes, but something was different. Less shaky, more steady, like knowing the truth had given her spine back. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded. "Better than yesterday." We shared a small look, the kind women give each other when words aren't necessary. 10 minutes later, another knock. This one slower, hesitant. When I opened the door, Renee stood there clutching her purse like a shield. She looked younger than us, maybe early 30s, smooth brown skin, long braids pulled into a messy ponytail, work badge still clipped to her scrubs. Nurse, I guessed. Tired eyes, kind face. The kind of woman who probably took care of everybody else and forgot herself. Exactly his type. "You Danielle?" she asked softly. "Yeah. Come in, baby." The baby slipped out natural, auntie style, protective, because once I saw her up close, I didn't see competition. I saw somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody who didn't deserve this mess. She stepped inside and immediately looked around like she felt guilty for being there. "Sorry, this feels weird." "Trust me," Tasha muttered. "It gets weirder." We sat around the table like we were about to play cards, except the stakes were our lives. For a second, nobody spoke. 3 women, connected by the same man. If you'd have told me a year ago I'd be sitting like this with the other women, I would have laughed in your face. Or cried. Or both. Life is funny like that. Pain rearranges your enemies. "Okay," I said finally, opening the laptop. "We're just going to go through facts, not feelings. Facts first, feelings later. Because feelings cloud things. Facts cut clean." I pulled up the timeline. Tasha leaned forward. Renee stayed stiff. "So, Renee, when did you meet Marcus?" She twisted her fingers together. "September." My stomach dropped. September, the same month he ghosted Tasha, which meant he started talking to me right after you, Tasha said quietly. Renee's head snapped up. "What?" "He overlaps," I explained. "He doesn't leave one relationship until the next one's secure." Her face went pale. "No, he told me he needed time to heal from his ex." I almost laughed. We were all the ex at the same time. "Did he ever talk about moving in together?" "Yeah." "Joint account?" "Yeah." "Helping him rebuild?" Her voice cracked. "Yeah." There it was again, same script, different woman, like we were reading from the same play. I slid the bank statements toward her, highlighted withdrawals, dates, amounts. "He drained my savings in August," Tasha pointed. "He took mine in September." Renee stared at us, then whispered, "He asked me for $5,000 last week." The room went silent. My blood ran cold. "Did you give it to him?" I asked carefully. She shook her head fast. "No, I said I needed time. He got mad, said I didn't trust him." Classic. Trust equals access. No access equals anger. That's not love, that's entitlement. Tears started sliding down her face. I thought I was being selfish, like I wasn't supporting my man. Tasha reached over and grabbed her hand. "Girl," she said softly, "you just saved yourself." I watched them, and something inside me cracked open, because this, right here, this was what he never planned for. Not 3 women fighting each other, not jealousy, not shame, but us sitting at the same table, comparing notes, seeing through him together. Divide and conquer only works when the divide stays intact. But we weren't divided anymore. We were aligned. And aligned women, we're dangerous. I looked down at the timeline again. 3 names, 3 columns. But something still felt off, like a missing piece, because the numbers didn't add up. There were still gaps in his schedule, still money unaccounted for, which meant either he was worse than we thought, or... My phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. We all looked at it. My heart started pounding, because something told me this wasn't random. I answered slowly. "Hello?" A woman's voice came through, tight, angry, shaking. "Is this Danielle?" "Yes." Pause. Then, "I think we need to talk about Marcus." For a second, nobody in the room breathed. Not me, not Tasha, not Renee. It felt like the air itself froze solid. I put the phone on speaker slowly, my fingers suddenly clumsy. "Yes," I said carefully. "This is Danielle." The woman on the other end hesitated, like she was deciding whether to jump off a cliff. "My name's Carla," she said. "I got your number from Tasha's old social media page. I saw a comment you left." Tasha's eyes widened. "Oh my God." Carla kept going, voice trembling. "I know this is going to sound crazy, but are you Marcus Hill's wife?" I swallowed. "Ex-wife," I said. Silence. Then a sharp inhale, like somebody trying not to cry. "I knew it," she whispered. My heart dropped straight into my stomach, because that tone, that wasn't suspicion. That was recognition, the kind you get when a nightmare finally gets a name. "How do you know Marcus?" I asked. She laughed, but it was broken. "He's my fiancé." The word hit the table like a grenade. Fiancé, not boyfriend, not dating. Fiancé. I looked at Tasha, at Renee. Their faces mirrored my own horror. "How long?" I asked quietly. "Since November," she said. "He proposed in January." January? Last month? While we were sitting here piecing together evidence, he was out here buying rings. My hand started shaking, not from heartbreak, from pure, unfiltered disgust. "What did he promise you?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "A house. Said we'd move out of state. Said he was tired of being used by women who didn't believe in him." Tasha let out a bitter laugh. Renee covered her mouth. Same script, different audience. I felt sick. "He asked me to help him with a down payment," Carla continued. $20,000. Said his accounts were tied up in some divorce mess. I told him I'd transfer it next week. "Don't," we all said at the same time. She went quiet. "What?" "Do not send him a dime," I said firmly. "Please, just trust me." Silence. Then, "You have proof, don't you?" That question again. Proof. Women like us don't move on gossip. We move on receipts. "Yes," I said. "We're all sitting here together right now. Me, Tasha, and Renee." "Who's Renee?" she asked. "Another woman he's currently with." The line went dead quiet. Then I heard a soft sob. "Oh my God," she whispered. I closed my eyes, because hearing that realization crack inside somebody else, it takes you right back to your own. That moment when the fantasy collapses, when every memory rewrites itself in real time. "He told me you were abusive," she said suddenly. "Said you stole from him. Said he had to escape you." I laughed, cold, sharp. "He told me Tasha was crazy, and me clingy," Tasha added, "and me emotionally unavailable," Renee muttered. Carla let out this shaky breath like the truth was physically painful. "He said I was the only woman who ever supported him." There it is, the hook. Make each of us feel chosen, special, different from the others, so we never compare notes. But now the notes were spread out on my dining room table like a crime board. 4 women, 4 timelines, same man, same lies, different months. I looked around the table. 4 chairs filled, 4 lives almost wrecked. And suddenly it hit me so hard my chest hurt. If Renee hadn't hesitated, if Tasha hadn't gotten suspicious, if I hadn't opened the door, Carla would have handed him $20,000 next week. Just like that. Gone. Like we never existed. My throat tightened, because this wasn't coincidence. This was fate, or God, or the universe, lining us up just long enough to catch him. "Carla?" I said gently. "Where are you right now?" "At home." "Can you come over?" She hesitated. "All of you are there?" "Yeah," I said. "You're not crazy, and you're not alone." Long pause. Then, "Okay." When the call ended, nobody spoke for a while. We just stared at each other. 4 women connected by the same predator. It finally had a name in my head. Not cheater, not liar, predator. Because predators isolate their targets. And Marcus had built a whole system around keeping us separate. But he made one mistake. He underestimated women comparing stories. He thought we'd hate each other forever. He thought jealousy would keep us divided. Instead, we were sitting at the same table, and suddenly something shifted inside me. Not sadness, not embarrassment, power. Because heartbreak makes you small, but truth makes you dangerous. I looked at the growing stack of documents, bank statements, screenshots, timelines, then at the empty chair waiting for Carla, and I realized something that made my pulse race. This wasn't just messy relationships anymore. This was a pattern of financial exploitation across multiple women, which meant something bigger than closure, bigger than divorce, bigger than revenge. This was criminal. And if we put everything together, we wouldn't just expose him, we could actually stop him. And as the doorbell rang again, signaling Carla's arrival, I knew one thing for sure. Marcus didn't just create 4 victims, he accidentally created 4 witnesses. And witnesses, we come with evidence. When I opened the door, Carla looked like every version of me I used to be. Hopeful, terrified, still halfway defending him in her head. She stood there clutching her purse with both hands like it might float away if she loosened her grip. Perfect makeup, hair laid neat, work blazers still buttoned up like she'd rushed straight from somewhere important, like she still had a life intact. For now. "You Danielle?" she asked. Her voice was tight, like she was bracing for me to yell at her. "Yeah," I said gently. "Come on in." She stepped inside slow, eyes scanning the house like she expected traps, like we might jump her or blame her or turn this into some reality show confrontation, because that's what we're taught, right? Wife versus mistress, women versus women, catfight. Not this, not folding chairs and coffee and paperwork. When she saw Tasha first, she froze. Then Renee. Then the table, all the documents spread out like evidence in a courtroom. Her face changed. Not jealousy, recognition. "Oh my God," she whispered. Nobody said anything for a second. Then Tasha stood and offered her a hug. Not dramatic, just soft, sisterly. Carla melted into it instantly, and watching 2 women who technically shared the same man hold each other like family, something in my chest cracked wide open, because Marcus would hate this. He thrived on division, on us blaming each other. But right now, we look like a support group, not rivals. "Sit down," I said gently. "We're just going through timelines." She nodded like a kid walking into the principal's office. I slid the chair out for her. She sat, hands shaking. "So," I said softly, "tell us everything. Start from the beginning." She took a deep breath. "I met him at church," she said. We all blinked. Church? Of course. Of course he'd use church. Marcus loved places where trust came pre-installed. He volunteered with the finance committee. Everyone said he was responsible, stable, good man. Tasha let out a dry laugh. "That's wild." "He helped me fix my car once, wouldn't even take money, said he just wanted to be kind." Classic grooming. Start generous, build trust, create debt that isn't financial yet, then cash it in later. He told me he'd been hurt by women who used him, said he was tired of being someone's wallet. The irony hit so hard I almost choked. Used him? Wallet? God, the projection. "He said I was different," she whispered. We all nodded at the same time. Same line, every time. "They're always different," Renee said quietly. Carla wiped her eyes. "He proposed last month, said he didn't want to waste time when you know God sent you your person." That sentence made me physically sick, because Marcus used to pray with me at night, holding my hands, talking about purpose, talking about destiny, all while planning exit strategies behind my back. He asked for $20,000 for the down payment. I almost transferred it yesterday. My heart skipped. Almost. That word saved her. She kept hesitating, she said. Something just didn't feel right, like I was rushing. That wasn't fear, that was intuition. Black women call it that little voice, the one our grandmamas tell us not to ignore. Turns out, it be right, every time. I turned the laptop toward her, showed her the spreadsheet. Names, dates, amounts. Her mouth slowly opened, then covered. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You see it?" I asked. She nodded. "He starts with love bombing, big promises, future talk. Then money," Tasha added. "Then distance," Renee said. "Then disappearance," I finished. Like a checklist, like he perfected it. Carla stared at the screen like it personally betrayed her. "I really thought he loved me," she whispered. Nobody corrected her, because here's the truth. He probably loved us in the only way he knew how. But some people don't love you for you. They love what you provide. Stability, money, support, admiration. Once the supply dries up, so do they. That's not love. That's consumption. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "I didn't do anything wrong," I said. She looked at me like she didn't believe it. "I feel stupid," she whispered. "You're not stupid," I said firmly. "You're trusting. There's a difference." Tasha nodded. Predators look for trusting. Silence settled heavy again, but this time it wasn't sad. It was focused, like we were all thinking the same thing. This wasn't just messy relationships. This was a pattern, a scheme. And the more I looked around that table, 4 different women, 4 jobs, 4 bank accounts, 4 lives almost wrecked, the more something clicked into place. If he did this across state lines, if he took money under false promises, if there were records, this wasn't just divorce court. This was fraud, maybe even criminal fraud. And suddenly, my pain didn't feel personal anymore. It felt like evidence. Carla wiped her face and straightened up. Something changed in her posture, like sadness hardened into resolve. "So what do we do?" she asked. Not what do you think, not what should I do, what do we do together? And that question lit a fire in my chest, because Marcus thought he was juggling women. What he really did, he accidentally built a case. And now he had 4 witnesses sitting at one dining table with receipts. And I leaned back in my chair, heart steady, mind sharp, because I finally knew this wasn't about confronting him. This was about something bigger, something legal. And the next step we were about to take wasn't going to be emotional at all. It was going to be strategic. By noon, my dining room didn't look like a home anymore. It looked like an investigation. Papers everywhere. Bank statements highlighted in yellow, screenshots of texts, printed call logs, sticky notes with dates scribbled fast. 4 coffee mugs, 4 women. One man's entire pattern laid out like a crime map. If somebody walked in, they'd think we were detectives. And in a way, we were, because heartbreak makes you cry. But clarity makes you organize. Nobody was crying now. Nobody was yelling. We were quiet, focused, dangerously calm. "You know what this reminds me of?" Tasha said softly, flipping through her loan paperwork. "One of those documentaries where women find out they were all dating the same scammer." Renee nodded. "Except this one married one of us first." We all looked at each other, and that fact hit differently. He didn't just lie casually. He made legal vows while already practicing the game. My marriage wasn't sacred to him. It was just credibility. Being a married man going through a divorce made him look stable, responsible, safe. God, he used me like a reference letter. I swallowed that bitterness down and turned back to business. Okay, I said, let's think like a court, not like girlfriends. They looked at me. We don't need emotional stories. We need proof of a pattern. I pointed to the spreadsheet. Money taken under false promises, multiple women, overlapping timelines, identical language. That's not messy dating, that's intent. Intent to defraud, Renee said automatically. We all looked at her. What? She said, shrugging. My brother's a cop. I listen. I smiled for the first time all day. Exactly. Intent. Because that's what makes it criminal. Not heartbreak, not cheating, intentional financial exploitation. Tasha slid her loan agreement toward us. $30,000, she said quietly. Renee shook her head. He asked me for $5. Carla whispered, $20. I looked at my old bank statements. $10 from me directly, plus years of covering everything while he rebuilt. We did the math. $65,000 minimum that we could prove. And that didn't count dinners, trips, gifts, time lost. $65,000. My stomach twisted, not because of the money, but because of what it represented. 4 working women, 4 sets of savings, years of discipline, gone, fed to one man's ego. I leaned back in my chair and laughed once, not funny, just disbelief. This man really thought he was running a business, I muttered. He was, Carla said softly. We looked at her. We were the business. That sentence sat heavy because she was right. He didn't love us. He invested in us, then cashed out. A rotating door of women funding the next upgrade. That's not romance. That's a scheme. Silence stretched again. Then Tasha said what we were all thinking. So why hasn't he been caught before? Good question. Predators survive because women stay quiet, out of shame, embarrassment, pride. Nobody wants to say, I got played, so we suffer privately, and men like him keep moving. Because we don't talk to each other, I said. They nodded slowly. If Tasha never showed up at my door, if I slammed it, if Renee never answered my call, if Carla trusted him blindly, he would have walked away clean, again. He counted on our silence, our jealousy, our separation, divide and conquer. But now, we were sitting shoulder to shoulder, sharing passwords, forwarding screenshots, handing over bank records without ego. No one trying to look better. No one pretending they weren't fooled. Just truth. And truth is heavy, but it's powerful. I opened a new folder on my laptop, named it Marcus Case. The name alone made my heart race, because this wasn't Danielle's divorce. This wasn't my husband cheated. This was a case, something bigger than us. I know a legal aid clinic downtown. They help with financial abuse and fraud cases, free consultations. Carla straightened. You think they'll take something like this? I think 4 victims with documentation gets attention, I replied. Renee smirked. Especially if we walk in together. Together. That word felt good. Not petty unity, not revenge squad, just solidarity. 4 grown women refusing to be isolated. My phone buzzed on the table. Marcus. His name lighting up my screen like nothing happened. Like he hadn't been juggling 4 lives. Like he hadn't nearly robbed another woman yesterday. For a second, we all just stared. The audacity. He was probably calling to check on his investment. Maybe sweet-talk Carla later. Maybe borrow money from someone else tomorrow. He had no idea the walls were closing in. No idea his entire system was sitting at my kitchen table. No idea the women he thought would hate each other were building a file on him. It rang and rang and rang, then stopped. A text popped up. Hey stranger, miss you. Can we talk? My stomach didn't flutter anymore, didn't ache, didn't hope. Nothing. Just cold clarity. I turned the phone face down, and for the first time since loving that man, I didn't feel small. I felt prepared. Because while he thought he still had access to us, we were already 3 steps ahead. And tomorrow morning, we weren't calling him. We weren't confronting him. We weren't begging for closure. We were walking into a legal office with receipts. And something told me, once we handed over this folder, his disappearing act was about to get a lot harder. The next morning felt colder than it should have. Not outside, inside my chest, like something final was settling into place. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror longer than usual, studying my face while I brushed my teeth. No swollen eyes, no frantic energy, no heartbreak staring back at me. Just steady. It surprised me, because walking into a legal office to build a case against your husband, your actual husband, the man whose last name you carried, should feel dramatic. It should feel like a breakdown. But it didn't. It felt like paperwork, like canceling a subscription that kept charging your card. Necessary, overdue. I put on my navy blazer, the one I used to wear to parent-teacher conferences and bank appointments, the handle business blazer. Hair pulled back into a low bun, small gold hoops, lip gloss. Nothing flashy, nothing emotional, just composed, strong. Like my mama used to say, if you're going into battle, look like you already won. By 9 a.m., all four of us were parked outside the legal aid building downtown. Plain brick, faded sign, nothing special. But to me, it looked like a courthouse, like accountability. Tasha sat in her car for a second before getting out. I saw her wipe her palms on her jeans like she was nervous. Renee locked her doors twice. Carla stared at the building like it might judge her. I understood. Because shame does that, makes you feel like you're the criminal for trusting somebody. But I refused to walk in ashamed. I didn't steal anything. I didn't lie. I didn't manipulate 3 other people's lives. He did. Y'all ready? I asked. They nodded. We walked in together, not single file, side by side. And something about that formation made me emotional. 4 black women, different ages, different careers, different lives, all almost taken down by the same man. But not today. The receptionist looked up, polite but tired. "Can I help you?" I placed the thick binder on the counter. It made a heavy thud. "Yes, ma'am," I said calmly. "We need to report financial exploitation and fraud. Same man, multiple victims." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Do you have documentation?" I slid the binder toward her. "Everything." She opened it, flipped a few pages. Her expression changed quick, from routine to alert. "Oh," she said softly. "Okay, yeah, let me get someone for you." That "oh" told me everything. We weren't being dramatic. We weren't overreacting. This was real. They led us into a small conference room with stale coffee smell and old chairs. Nothing fancy. But when the attorney came in, mid-40s, sharp eyes, locks pulled back, she didn't treat us like gossip. She treated us like witnesses. "Start from the beginning," she said. So we did. Not crying, not ranting, just facts, dates, amounts, texts, timelines. Every time one of us finished talking, another piece clicked into place, like a puzzle. The attorney kept writing, fast, nodding, occasionally saying, in that tone professionals use when something is very not okay. Finally, she leaned back, hands folded, and said the words I didn't know I needed to hear. "This is a pattern of intentional financial manipulation, possibly wire fraud, possibly civil and criminal." Criminal. The word landed heavy, because heartbreak lives in private, criminal lives in court. "You're not the first group of women I've seen this happen to," she added quietly, "but you're the first group that came together." That sentence hit deep. Because that's the trick. They keep us separate, embarrassed, quiet, so they stay untouchable. But together, she continued, your cases reinforce each other. That changes everything. I felt something warm spread through my chest. Validation, not revenge, validation. We weren't crazy. We weren't bitter exes. We were evidence. "What happens next?" Carla asked softly. "We file reports," the lawyer said. "Freeze anything tied to him, start documentation, and if he contacts you for money again, we log it." Renee smirked. "Oh, he will." The lawyer smiled slightly. "Good, let him. Predators get sloppy when they think they're still in control." Predators. There it was again, the right word. Because calling him my ex felt too soft now. He wasn't a failed relationship. He was a scheme. When the meeting ended, we stepped back outside into the sun, and something strange happened. I didn't feel heavy. I felt lighter than I had in years. Because for the first time, I wasn't carrying this alone. I wasn't the stupid wife. Tasha wasn't the mistress. Renee wasn't the new girl. Carla wasn't the fiancée. We weren't labels anymore. We were witnesses. And witnesses, we don't hide. We testify. As we stood on the sidewalk, Carla looked at us and said quietly, "He really thought we'd hate each other forever, didn't he?" I laughed. "Yeah," I said, then shook my head. He underestimated women who compare notes. My phone buzzed again. Marcus, calling, probably smiling, probably thinking one of us missed him. I declined it without even looking, because the man who once controlled my emotions with one text didn't even have access to my peace anymore. And as we started walking to our cars, binder under my arm, sun warm on my face, I realized something powerful. We weren't going after him out of revenge. We weren't trying to destroy him. We were simply refusing to let him divide us again. And sometimes that's the strongest justice there is. I didn't expect peace to feel this quiet. No fireworks, no dramatic confrontation, no yelling in parking lots or throwing his clothes on the lawn like the movies. Just quiet. The kind that settles into your bones after a long storm finally moves on. A week passed after the legal office, then 2, then 3, and something strange happened. Marcus stopped feeling like the center of my story. For months, every thought had his name attached to it. What did he mean? Who was he with? Why wasn't I enough? How could he do this? Now, he barely crossed my mind unless my phone buzzed with another blocked number or some weak, "Hey, stranger," text he sent fishing for attention. And every time it happened, I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I just screenshotted it and added it to the folder. Evidence. That's all he was now. Evidence. The house felt different too. Lighter, like the walls weren't holding secrets anymore. One afternoon, I opened every window and let the air move through. Sunlight hit the floors just right, catching dust in the air like glitter. I stood in the kitchen with my coffee and realized something that almost made me laugh. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting on a man to come home. I wasn't checking a location, wasn't listening for keys in the door, wasn't bracing for excuses. It was just me, my space, my money, my peace, mine. Tasha started taking classes at the community college. Accounting. Said if she was ever going to rebuild her credit, she wanted to really understand money. Renee finally blocked him and opened a savings account with only her name on it, texted us a picture of her first deposit like it was a newborn baby. Carla returned the ring. Didn't even cry, she said, just set it on the counter and walked out. Pawned it the next day, she told us in the group chat. Paid off my credit card. Best breakup ever. We laughed for 10 straight minutes. Not bitter laughter, free laughter. The kind that comes when something that almost destroyed you loses its power. We didn't become best friends, didn't start brunching every Sunday or braiding each other's hair. That wasn't the point. We didn't need sisterhood bracelets. What we had was deeper than that. Understanding. The kind you only get when somebody has seen the exact same nightmare you survived. Sometimes we text, He tried calling again, got another fake number, sent me a miss you message, and every time, instead of panic, we'd reply, log it, screenshot, add it to the file. Cold, strategic, untouchable, because he didn't control the narrative anymore. We did. One evening, I sat on my porch watching the sky turn orange and purple, the neighborhood kids riding bikes, somebody grilling down the block. Normal life sounds. Peace sounds. I thought about the day Tasha first knocked on my door, how close I was to slamming it, how easy it would have been to stay angry, to call her names, blame her, protect my pride. If I had, Carla would have lost $20,000. Renee would have opened that joint account. He'd probably be grooming 2 more women by now. All because we stayed divided. That thought sent a chill through me, because sometimes the biggest revenge isn't destroying a man, it's refusing to let him turn women against each other. He wanted competition, jealousy, silence. What he got instead? Witnesses. I smiled to myself, sipping my tea, not because he lost, but because we won. Our money, our clarity, our boundaries, our dignity. That's the part nobody talks about. Healing isn't loud. It's subtle. It's the day you realize you haven't checked his social media in weeks. It's the moment his name pops up and your heart doesn't jump. It's standing in your own home, in your own body, and feeling safe. And sometimes it's opening your door to the woman you thought ruined your life and realizing she was just another survivor, like you. If you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe to join our community for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I'd truly love to know.